truly believe that out of all the videos that I've created, this video is going to be the one that blows your mind. And I'm going to explain why, because most people in the online spaces will talk about how to make money from your intuition, how to make money from your frequency, but nobody dives into the nitty-gritty detail of how to do this so that you can literally apply it to your business. And I'm going to break this down in such a simple effing way that you have no way to not succeed, okay? Because I want every single person who comes into my space to be a fucking winner when it comes to their frequency, when it comes to manifestation, when it comes to growing their businesses by being themselves, like all the things. This is literally what I want, right? This is my mission. So what is your actual frequency? I'm not talking about in terms of anything else other than money for this particular video, okay? So specifically your money flow or your money dip. So you can be broke as fuck because your frequency is operating from that. Now, frequency, I'm going to break down into the 4 main categories, and then from there, what else you need under your frequency, like to be able to shift it, right? Because you can't just shift your frequency like that sometimes. Sometimes it takes a bit more work that's required depending on what area is stuck in your psyche, in your frequency, in your energetic field. So when it comes to your frequency, right, we start off with your frequency coming from the root of your frequency is your thoughts. Okay. Now your thoughts are simply sparks of energy. It's literally just like little fluttery energetic wires just floating around in the mind. Now, sparks of energy are never neutral. They always carry some sort of charge, okay? So it'll be either a positive charge or a negative charge. Now, this is going into the laws of polarity, which I'm not going to talk about the law fact over here. I just want to speak about frequency of your money in terms of a way that you can practically apply it to your life, to your money situation, to your clients, to your business, to actually change and shift and get results differently, okay? So if you are struggling with money, what is the thought form right now? And we'll dive deeper into this in the second half of this video on like practical steps. But for now, I'm just going to gloss over the main system and the process of how frequency works. Okay, so you can see it first. Then we're going to go step by step to apply it. So number 1 is your frequency. Start off with your thoughts. Your thoughts are sparks of energy. Energy is not neutral. It always carries a charge, positive or negative, right? So an example of a thought right now for your frequency can be, I can't make money. That can be just a simple thought, right? Now, when we just have one passing thought, that's not going to shift your frequency to a drastic level because it's just like one electricity wave, okay? Just one passing thought. But when those thoughts become repeated thoughts, repetitive thoughts, right? When you think this same thought of, I can't make money every day, twice a day, that those days become weeks, then those weeks become months, and then that just becomes a repetitive thought. That is what we call a belief, okay? So a thought on its own, not that harmful. Like we can literally change them, we can shift them. They come in, they go out easy, right? It's not affecting our frequency that deep. When we have repeated thoughts, they become our dominant belief system. Now, that's when it solidifies inside of our mind, right? Those beliefs become harder to break because it's a repetitive thing that you have heard. So as a child, if you constantly heard money doesn't grow on trees, money is bad, money is the root of all evil, all these stuff that we hear, like from most teachers online talk about this stuff, but then they go into the belief system, but most people can't trace back where it stems from, that the main thought that has caused these beliefs, right? And this is so important. You'll see why. Because again, like I said, if each thought has frequency to it, it has energetic charge, that means that those thoughts repetitively in your psyche, creating those beliefs become your framework. It's a solid framework that's carrying energetic charge to it, okay? Now these beliefs go into our subconscious mind. Now, subconscious mind predominantly operates 95% of everything in our reality. We only act from like 10% of our conscious mind. So this is where you set those goals and you're like, I want to make 10K a month. I want to make 100,000 a month consciously with your 10%. But your 90% of your subconscious, it has all of these frequencies in the back end and the background. And you're sitting there like, why is it not happening? Well, you need to go to the root. And until you shift your subconscious, shifts, you cannot. It's a law that we live in. This is how the universe works. This is how energy works, right? It's a law of physics, law of the universe. spirituality is true science. That's the way that I operate, right? So that is literally the core part that we need to shift. And that's what unlocks. Now, those of you who are literally watching this and you're just like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. I've actually opened up a new offer for you guys to come in. You can get a diagnosis and I will be able to, because this is literally my thing. I guide my clients to the specific root, the belief system, whether it's a thought, what it is that is in their psyche, and then we switch it almost instantly. So if you want one, it's only $77. You can grab it. The link is in the description box below. Go check it out. So these repeated thoughts, right, they become beliefs. And this is literally your framework. So that is feeding your subconscious mind, and it tells your subconscious what is possible for you or what is not possible. Okay? So if you have repetitive thoughts that say, I can't make money this way. Now, we're getting into the stories here, okay? So we started off with the thoughts being just thoughts which carry energetic charge, positive or negative. Those repetitive thoughts become your belief systems and the frameworks from how your subconscious wants to operate. Then we move into the stories that we start to tell ourselves from experiencing the world around us, because our reality, our subconscious mind is feeding everything that we have fed it from our thoughts to our belief system. And then our reality is going to constantly show us the same thing. So then we start to create more stories and more narratives inside of our mind. And these beliefs are creating stories that will justify our reality, or they'll explain why we are a certain way, right? So example of this, I'm always broke because I'm bad with money. So again, we'll create a story to help us understand and accept this is why we're this way. Now, those are just stories again, because we're justifying to our psyche, oh, because of this is why I'm this, right? Those stories, again, are feeding that same belief system because it's repetition. So now you'll repeat the story to whoever you say. Spells out of our mouth, okay? Our words are spells. Our words are magic. It's so important that you nail down what is coming out of your mouth on a regular basis, and not just your mouth, but it's the thoughts, it's everything, right? This is all interconnected. Now, it might sound like a lot, like, oh my God, Jenny, I have to do this, this, and this. It's like, no. I have a really simple way of doing it, and I show this inside of Intuitive Creator, inside my programs, because you have to have a space, a container, some sort of area, an environment where your psyche can absorb quite quickly, quite rapidly sometimes, depending on who's speaking and how it's showing up in your subconscious, the exact things that you need to feed your mind with. But if you are not operating and you're not taking that action, and you're always operating from the same level of subconscious that was always broke, you're always going to find yourself living the same year after year after year, because your subconscious is not doing the work that's required. And sometimes this is so important for you to put yourselves in the right environment, right? This is why I created Intuitive Creator, because my mind, my frequency is a high frequency because of this, because I am constantly pouring into my subconscious only high frequency stuff, which is why I notice like my manifestations just come in like that now. It feels so much more easier. Once upon a time, about 6 years ago, this felt so fucking hard. And this is literally why I dove into this work on a deeper level, right? Because I feel like most intuitive creators need this. Most intuitive business owners need this, because when you are also, on a side note, when you are fueling your mind, your thoughts, and then those limiting beliefs, and then those stories with business that teaches it from a hustle space only, guess what's going to happen to your intuition inside of your business? You're going to lose it. You're going to lose that. And then you start to operate on this frequency of, I have to work hard. I have to hustle. I have to post constantly. I have to do this. And they become the frequency, right? But we get to actually choose that. We actually get to mold and shift around that if we know how. So again, what frequency are you operating from? It's so important to recognize this within yourself to see those results that you want in your business. So we've done thoughts that get turned into beliefs. I've written down my little notes here. We've done beliefs on repeat, and then those turn into the stories and the narratives that we use to justify or explain our situation. So I'm always broke because I'm bad with money, or I don't attract clients because I don't sell this way, or whatever the thing, right? They're all just frequency that we can play around with. That's the beautiful thing about this. So after that, your subconscious, right? Your stories become internalized, which is literally your subconscious programming. And that is guiding your behavior, your habits, your action. Okay. So this is where your frequency starts to solidify and how your mind and energy operate by default. So it's like that autopilot, you know, when you get in the car and then you're driving to a place, and like when you first start learning how to drive, you have to remember everything, the gear, the clutch, like everything, right? You're consciously aware, and then you're also doing all the things. But there comes a time where you've been driving for 5 years, 10 years, whatever the time frame, where you don't even have to think about those things because you're just acting from your subconscious on autopilot, where your conscious mind can travel somewhere else. You can be somewhere else in your thoughts. If you tried to do that when you first started learning, you'd probably crash. Yeah? So the same thing happens across the board, whether it's getting a new client in the door, whether it's getting multiple clients, whether it's increasing your income level. This is the frequency shift. This is literally it in the most like simplest to digest form. It is literally this. So if it takes you however long to learn the process of what is required, what are the thoughts that are there, to then take those thoughts out, to then plug in the new ones that you actually want to serve you, to then repeat that over time so that it becomes a dominant belief that is more stronger than the old dominant belief that is running the show right now. That takes time, which is why I always say cultivate patience. You need patience. Okay? Then you see the result in your reality shift the moment that has finally become your new baseline. But that takes time, like I said. And so this is where when you do this thing over time, you are also creating your identity, right? Because your identity associates with the stories that you've told yourself. So for example, when you say, I am just this broke person, and then that becomes you over time, and you're feeding that loop, when you suddenly decide, actually, no, I'm going to be, I don't know, a spiritual entrepreneur. And the first year or the first couple of months or whatever, you don't make money in your business. You don't really associate yourself because your subconscious is like, I'm not a millionaire. I'm not a spiritual entrepreneur. Sorry. I'm not this. I'm not that. So you associate yourself with the identity that's not that thing, right? But when you start to pour yourself into new habits, new action steps, you're like, okay, I'm getting a camera. I'm going to start filming every day. Your action, that behavior that you took because you set the intention, starts to signal new thoughts to your brain, to your psyche. And those thoughts can be, oh, I can create content, right? Unless you have a negative thought, then that negative thought will fuel it going, oh, I feel uncomfortable. Oh, I feel shy. And then that can become a limiting belief as well of, oh, I'm shy. That's why I can't do this. So we are in control in a way of our conscious mind of what thoughts are predominantly driving the rest of our belief system, the rest of our autopilot on subconscious. So we have to be the mindful ones of not allowing and being really aware to switch up what thoughts we are feeding to our subconscious, to our psyche. And if you're not aware of this is literally my gift. So drop me a comment what your main struggle is and I'll reply back to it. Or I'll just invite you to come join me in like my one-to-one little session. So your identity is literally what drives your habits, your behaviors, and your action steps, right? So if you want a new identity, you have to start taking new action steps, new behaviors, and start creating change. Most people don't want to change because they're so comfortable in the old, but then it's not serving you anymore. So if that's you, you need to understand what your frequency is comprising of right now that is keeping you operating at that level. So if your frequency right now is the identity of somebody who is broke, that means your frequency is literally the total sum, the togetherness, the entirety of your thoughts, your beliefs, whether they're limiting or limitless, and the stories that you tell yourself, and then your subconscious programming that is on autopilot running the show, and your identity. So this is a combination that makes up your frequency. So when somebody sits in front of me and they're like, oh, Janie, I can't make this much and this much, my questions to them is simply to guess whether this is a identity problem, a thought problem, a belief problem, where they're at in their journey, right? Because I can see clearly, oh, you're at the thought level. Oh, okay, you've done identity work, you've done belief system work, you've now just got these 2 layers left. Or it's like, oh, okay, you're right at the beginning of your stage. We've got all of these to uncover together. So you'd be better off inside of Intuitive Creator or doing this, this, and this, right? I give a whole diagnosis. So again, you could be literally just one thought away from shifting into your new reality and you don't recognize it because you've been doing the identity work, then you've been doing the subconscious, then you've been doing new habits, new things, but you don't know how long and how deep rooted some of the psyche rewiring needs to be inside of you. So are you going to go and shift your frequency now that you know how to do this, right? So if you need a shift of frequency in terms of your money, go and assess yourself on what is the daily thought process when it comes to your money? What are your daily actions and habits that you take when it comes to earning money, making money, keeping money, growing money. Because again, when it comes to money, money is another energy that we get to play with in this reality, but there's different ways to play with it. There's ways of inviting it in, and there's ways of growing it once it's invited in, or there's ways of losing it, and then there's ways of spending in a way that's responsible, and there's a way of managing and circulating, and then saving and investing and growing. So again, there's all these different skills. Again, check yourself, because your frequency, if you're wanting to be a millionaire, do you think the millionaire identity of you would be handling money the way that you handle money right now? Do you think the millionaire would have the thoughts that you have right now? That's your gap. And when you can see the gap, oh my God, does it change the game for you? Because that is literally the missing piece that you just then need to start to embody. And by embodiment, it's just practicing new habits, new thoughts, new action steps, because nothing switches your subconscious mind quicker than new environments, new shifts, new habits, new programming. It's why we do weight loss stuff, right? And we go from the before and after, and it takes time, guys. It takes a year and a half, depending on how much fucking fat you've got to lose or how much muscle you want to build. It takes time. But if you're just sitting there and you're thinking things, but you're not actually taking action, do you think you're going to be in that new dream body? Like, no, you're not. You're going to have to get up and go to the gym. You're going to get up and change your diet. You're going to do all these things. It's the same thing for business. So same thing for money, same thing for everything in our reality. So let me know if this blew your mind. I love that I have this in the video for myself and my son now. Puts my heart in peace, because obviously I create these for like my 6-year-old, so that when he grows up, he always has his mummy videos and all this wisdom for him to just go and not get lost in the world like we do sometimes. So subscribe if you're new here, like this video. Mwah.